At the beginning of the story shows a CIA member named John Branca, who is monitoring enemy movements from the top of the building. Here John is not alone, but is assisted by a colleague named Ben Malloy, who is tasked with spying on the enemy from close range. We are told that Ben is a senior member of the CIA, and now he holds the rank of CIA Station Chief. So, Ben's greatness cannot be doubted, because for decades he has always carried out dangerous missions. Currently, Ben and John are tasked with spying on a secret agent from Russia who could endanger the American government. Soon, the secret agent realized Ben's presence, and he immediately approached him. The Russian secret agent is named Evgeny, and he immediately tells Ben not to worry, because Evgeny's presence here is not to carry out a mission from the Russian government, but is only on vacation. Hearing this, Ben replied that he would continue to monitor Evgeny's movements, and Evgeny should just take a vacation in another country. In the evening, Ben went to a cafe because it turned out that tonight Ben would celebrate his wedding anniversary with his wife named Farah. Farah is also a member of the CIA, but she is in charge of inputting all the data as officer, not in the field. It seems that Ben loves Farah very much, and they have also been blessed with a son who is now working outside the city. Not long after, Farah asked Ben for permission because she wanted to go to the toilet for a while. But just as Farah walked a few steps, suddenly there was a huge explosion from inside the cafe. 6 months later, seeing Ben who still can't move on since the explosion at the cafe that killed Farah, his wife. Ben also doesn't just silent, because until now he continues to look for who is behind the bombing. The next day, Ben makes a pilgrimage to Farah's grave. Here, Ben can only pray for Farah, and he promises to find the perpetrators of the bombing to their roots, the mastermind behind all this. In the afternoon, Ben had a meeting with CIA officials. Here, they discuss Farah's death, which until now hasn't yet found the bombers. As a result, CIA officials intend to close this case, because most likely the explosion was caused by a gas leak, not a bombing. Hearing this, Ben was obviously angry and immediately left the meeting. When outside, Ben had crossed paths with the director of the CIA, who expressed his condolences to Ben. The director also asked Ben to let Farah go, because she was already at peace. At night, Ben accidentally saw the news on his laptop that the case of the explosion at the cafe was officially closed. The CIA and other officials have confirmed that the explosion was an accident due to a leaking gas line, not a terrorist bomb. Seeing it all, of course, Ben didn't accept it because he was sure that Farah, his wife, was deliberately killed, not an ordinary accident. From now on, Ben promises to uncover the case in his own way. The next day, Ben came to the CIA office, then met a hacker who worked there. Ben asked the hacker to reopen the data when the explosion occurred at the cafe that killed Farah. It turns out that there were some Russians there at the time, who could be Evgeny's men, the secret agent who appeared at the beginning of the story. The hacker suggests that Ben should go to Evgeny, because he could be the mastermind of the bombing. After that, Ben returns home to look at more detailed data about Evgeny, the Russian secret agent. However, here Ben is daydreaming because he remembers sweet memories with Farah, his wife. At that time, Ben was having dinner with Farah. The two of them are very intimate and become a harmonious couple. Soon Farah gave Ben a gift, a necklace called the Fatima necklace. Farah asked Ben to never let go of the necklace until whenever, because the necklace would bring good luck to Ben. Ben also promised, even if he died, he would never let go of Fatima's necklace. The scene returns to the present, which at this time Ben plans to meet John, his partner, at one of the cafes. Ben and John also meet here. Ben is still discussing the death of Farah, his wife, whose case was suddenly closed by the CIA. Ben asked John for help so that he would help him, because Ben was sure that Farah died not because of an ordinary accident, but was deliberately targeted by someone. As a true friend, of course, John is willing to help Ben. John even asked Ben to rest a lot. Although it looks silent, John continues to find out about the case. Before parting, Ben also thanked John. After that, Ben went to Farah's friend to ask if Farah had ever kept secrets from that person. The friend said that Farah was a good woman who never mispaved behind Ben's back. However, Farah kept something that Ben never knew before, which was quite a lot of savings. Without Ben's knowledge, Farah always left money to her friend for savings in her old age, but now that Farah was gone, the friend handed over all the savings to Ben. Later that evening, Ben goes to the casino to meet Evgeny, the Russian secret agent. Here, Ben plays cards with Evgeny while asking if Evgeny was behind the explosion that killed Farah, his wife. Evgeny, who felt offended because he never did this, he immediately ordered his men to beat Ben. Until there was a fistfight. Because he was outnumbered, Ben was finally cornered, then arrested. The scene moves to Ben's son, Nick, who is now working out of town. During this time, Nick is not alone because he is always accompanied by his girlfriend. Here, the girlfriend asks Nick for permission to buy breakfast, while Nick waits at his residence. Not long after, 3 CIA field teams came and asked Nick to come with them. Nick initially refused as he couldn't leave his girlfriend alone. However, the CIA members forced Nick, saying that this was all for Nick's safety, and they were ordered by Ben, Nick's father. Inevitably, Nick finally could only comply with their request. On the other hand, it shows Ben who is being held hostage by Evgeny. Soon, Evgeny ordered one of his men to take out a knife. It turned out that the knife wasn't to hurt Ben, but only to open the bonds on Ben's hands. Here, Evgeny invites Ben to have a good chat about why Ben can accuse Evgeny of being the mastermind of the explosion that killed Farah. Ben replied that Evgeny was a secret agent from Russia, so it was only appropriate that Evgeny was targeting Farah, because Farah was the one who kept all the CIA data. Evgeny swore that he wasn't the mastermind of the explosion, because at this time he was on leave and wasn't given any mission by the Russian government. Evgeny also showed the CCTV video footage of the incident, and it was clear that Evgeny was not there. Ben denied Evgeny's words, because in the video there was a man who was Evgeny's subordinate. But Evgeny explained that the man had not worked for him for a long time, and was now joining a team of American mercenaries. Hearing all these explanations, Ben began to believe Evgeny. But suddenly, they were attacked by the American mercenary team that was being talked about. In the incident, Evgeny had to be shot, and he asked Ben to flee the place immediately. Ben tried to avoid as much as possible. At one point, Ben contacted John and asked him to pick him up. It didn't take long. Fortunately, John came immediately and immediately took Ben away from there. On the way, Ben asked why John came so quickly. John replied that he accidentally was there and no far from the area. Then John took Ben to his hiding place on the boat. Before entering the ship, Ben asked John to contact Nick first, because Ben was very worried. But John replied that Nick was safe, because he had sent a team in the field. It turns out that the 3 CIA members who picked up Nick earlier weren't Ben's orders, but John's orders. Behind that, Nick himself was taken to a building by the 3 CIA members. When going in, Nick resisted, but he had to be caught again. In the end, they had to forcibly bring Nick into the building. Back to Ben and John, who are now on the ship. Here, John asks if Farah ever gave something to Ben before she died. Ben replied no. And even if he had, John shouldn't need to know, because it was his personal business with Farah. Then John took Ben to a room, because there was something he had to talk about. But when the door opened, Ben was immediately shot at by several American mercenaries who had attacked him earlier. It was revealed that the American mercenary team that had attacked Ben and Evgeny on John's orders, which means John is a traitor. Ben is immediately tied to a chair, then he is tortured using a strum. John keeps asking Ben if he ever gave anything from Farah before she died. Ben answered no, so that makes him tortured again. Sensing that Ben wouldn't open his mouth, John ordered the leader of the mercenary group to continue interrogating Ben. Meanwhile, he would go to Nick to get information from him. A few minutes after John left, the mercenary leader confessed that he was the one who had blown up the cafe and killed Farah. All of this they did, of course, on orders from powerful people in the CIA. Hearing this, of course, Ben was surprised, and he didn't understand what Farah's fault was. Before had time for the leader to answer, suddenly the mercenary leader was hit by a falling roof. It turned out that the person came to save Ben. When the mask was removed, it turned out that the person was a woman named Christina Kowarski. Here, Ben had time to ask who Christina really was, but Christina will explain it later because the most important thing now is to be able to escape from there. Quickly, the two of them went straight to the front room, then shot at all of John's men who were there. In the middle of the battle, the mercenary leader reappeared, so inevitably, Ben had to face him. After a long duel, Ben finally managed to throw the mercenary leader into the sea. Then Ben immediately escaped with Christina using the small boat there. Arriving at the dock, Christina immediately took Ben away by car because they had to go to a secret place. On the way, Christina finally said that she was a close friend of Farah, Ben's wife. Christina asked if Farah had ever given Ben a necklace named Fatima. Ben said yes, while showing the necklace. It turns out that the necklace is a key to open Farah's secret room. In that room, Farah keeps a laptop, and all the rottenness of the CIA is in the laptop. That's why Farah was eliminated, because Farah had kept secret data about the massive corruption committed by the CIA director. Hearing all this information, Ben finally understood why his wife was killed. The kidnapping of Ben and Nick was also orchestrated by the CIA director in order to get Fatima's necklace to open Farah's secret room. In short, Ben and Christina have arrived at Farah's secret room. Ben immediately opened the room using his necklace, then went inside. Then, Ben opened Farah's laptop, which contained all the data on the rotten CIA director. After that, Ben contacted John and said that now he knew everything. Even the laptop containing the CIA director's rottenness is now in Ben's hands. Hearing this, John threatened to kill Nick if the data spread. As a result, Ben and John agreed to exchange the laptop for Nick. John immediately sent the location of their meeting, which would be held today. After the call ended, Christina said, Ben better not give the laptop to John, because even if the laptop is given, Ben and Nick will still be eliminated. But of course, Ben is not that stupid, because he wanted to meet with John not for an exchange, but to finish them all. Hearing this, Christina finally understood, and she would also come to help Ben. Before leaving, Ben first contacted the CIA hacker. Here, Ben sends a link which contains all the evidence of the CIA director's corruption. Ben advised, if he didn't return, then the hacker must spread all the evidence to the public. After that, Ben and Christina immediately left for the meeting place with John. When he arrived, Ben dropped Christina off first, because this time Christina would be tasked with being a sniper to protect Ben from a distance. In short, Ben has now met with John. John wasn't alone, because he also kept a sniper on top of the building and 2 of his men. Here Ben asked John to let Nick go first, and only then would Ben hand over the laptop. After Nick was released, Ben asked him to get into the car. Well, he immediately gave the laptop, while saying that from now on they had no more business. But when John wanted to leave, Christina suddenly shot the sniper and John's 2 men. Until, now leaving John alone. Ben quickly reclaimed the laptop, but suddenly the mercenary leader, who turned out to be alive, came to help John. Ben also chose to escape using his car, until there was a chase and shootout, but it turns out that John's car was going fast and rolled over because it went uphill. As a result, the mercenary leader had to die, while John managed to jump before the car rolled. Quickly, Ben and Nick immediately approached, then finished off the mercenary leader. After that, Ben looked for John, who managed to escape. Not long after, John suddenly appeared while challenging Ben to duel with him. Without hesitation, Ben accepted the challenge, and the 2 of them dueled. But in the end, Ben was able to lock John up and knock him out. 1 hour later, Ben returned to the meeting location to pick up Christina. Soon a car arrived, and it turned out to be a member of the CIA who was ordered by John to arrest Nick. Here the CIA member apologizes to Ben because yesterday he was only ordered to secure Nick, not to kidnap him. Ben, who realized that the person was innocent, of course he forgave him. Then Ben asked the person to bring John, then handed over to the police station to be punished severely. When it was getting late at night, Ben contacted someone. Here, Ben asked that person to uncover all evidence of the CIA director's corruption during a meeting with other high-ranking officials tomorrow morning. Ben himself couldn't possibly do this because he was still the CIA station chief. The next day, the CIA director was seen meeting with other high-ranking officials. Shortly, each of them on their cell phones appeared notifications related to evidence of the director's corruption, including on the monitor screen used in the meeting. At the same time came Evgeny, the secret agent from Russia, who apparently still survived the attack of the previous American mercenary team. Apparently the person Ben had contacted last night was Evgeny, and Evgeny immediately revealed all the evidence of the director's corruption. Evgeny even played the voice recording when the director ordered John to finish off Ben and Nick. Finally, the director could only surrender, then was arrested by Interpol. The next day, seen a very happy Ben after seeing the news of the arrest of the CIA director along with all the other invaders involved. Now Ben can live his life in peace, because all the masterminds behind Farah's death have been caught. Then the movie ended.